Hello everybody, this is Lori Willcox. I'm coming to you from Hope, British Columbia, Canada. And the name of my business is Creative Stamping with Lori. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'm going to show you how to make this lovely little snow scenery card, winter scene. And I'm using the Snowman Magic Bundle. Although I'm not actually using the Snowman, I'm just using the Scenic parts of it and the Sentiment on the inside. So let's get started. So I'm starting off with a card base in our new Orchid Oasis, one of our new in colors. And what I've already done, I've pre-cut the die out of the middle of the front of the card, and that was using the Snowman. This is part of the Snowman Magic Bundle. So I used this frame here, which cut out, you can see it better if I open it here, you can cut out these snowflakes, a snowflake frame. And then the only other die I'm using from this set is the little tree, and I'm going to be cutting some of those. And let's see, have another frame that I cut out using the Fabulous frames. Just see if I have them here. Here they are. So this is this frame here from the Fabulous Frames dies. And I'm using the actual frame, and then I'm using the middle piece as well that was inside the frame. So that's pre-cut as well. And I'm also going to be using a die out of the gingerbread house dies. I just wanted to get this little snow bank here. So we have a nice little curvy one here. I'm going to be using that. And then I've got some of our lovely snowflake specialty vellum. So this is beautiful. There's some white flocked snowflakes, and then there are these kind of silvery holographic ones as well, as you can see. So I'm using this one here. And and then our silver foils, I think it's the specialty foil it's called, and this is the darkest one, and I'm just going to use a little piece of this to cut the trees out. And then I have a little piece of our new masking paper, which is fantastic for making this little moon in the background there. So I'm going to be using that along with the layering circles dies. So I'm using 4 different die sets today. So I'm going to use the smallest circle here. I'll just take that out, put it aside. Okay, so let's do the die cutting first, just to get that out of the way. So I'm going to grab my silver piece, my tree die, my masking paper, and the circle. And then I have a little white piece of basic white cardstock to make the little snow bank. Okay, so I'm going to use the mini Stampin' cut and emboss machine. I had to use the bigger machine for the cutting out the bigger dies, but for this one, these little ones, I can use the little machine. So let's start with doing the snow bank. So I'm just going to place that on there about like so. Cover it up and then run it through. Sorry if this gets a little bit wiggly when I run this through. My table is just a little bit unstable. Okay, so I don't need the top piece. I will keep this bottom piece. I'm sorry, just grabbing my garbage can there. So I'll keep this bottom piece for the snow. And that's it for that die. And then I'm going to cut out, let's see, we'll use the masking paper and the small circle. Just cut out our little, whoops, get back on there. Cut out our little moon mask. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a bit. Okay, and this one I don't need the outside piece, I just need the inside piece. Okay, throw that away. And then lastly, I'm going to cut 2 of the trees in this dark silver foil. So let's try to fit, should be able to fit 2 on this little piece. So there's the first one. Oh, slipped. Gotta be careful putting that top plate on because it tends to slip a little bit, especially on the slippery foil. There we go, that's on there. Let's roll it through. All right, and then the last one, take that tree out. Oh, come on, there we go. There's one tree. And we're gonna do one more tree. Let's fit that in there like so. Yeah, fits well. Carefully put the plate on and roll it through. Whoops, had my mask stuck there. Okay, that is it for our die cutting. Let's get this out of the way. And get that tree popped out of there. There we go. Okay, now, let's see, so the next step is to take this, this piece here, which was the middle of that frame that I cut out of the basic white. Actually, I used thick basic white. Just wanted to give the frame, just make it quite sturdy. So I used thick basic white for that. And then I'm gonna take this piece here. And this is what I'm gonna put the moon mask on. So let's just make sure we get it in about the same place, so right around this area here. So I'm going to peel off the backing from this. And let's stick it about, that's a good spot there. Okay, now we'll get the card out of the way, get everything else out of the way. Throw away my backing. These white pieces. Okay, now I'm going to bring in some Tahitian Tide ink and a blending brush. Let's get everything out of the way here so I don't get ink all over everything. And I'm going to brush some Tahitian Tide on the bottom part of this piece. So, probably about almost a half a way up. And we're going to start off the paper, otherwise you get kind of a blotch. So we want to start off and just start rolling it in a circle onto the cardstock. And I just want to cover that lower half. It's going to be covered in the vellum piece, so which is going to mute it a bit. So we want to put quite a bit on there so it will show through the vellum. It doesn't have to be perfect because it is going to be muted quite a bit. Okay, and then now that that's done, I'm going to take our Orchid Oasis ink and another blending brush, and I'm going to do the top half. And this one's quite dark, so I want to take a little bit off and then come in again from the edge, from the corners, and go right around that moon. and overlap it a little bit with the Tahitian Tide, that turquoisey color. So this Orchid Oasis is kind of like a purpley blue, like a periwinkle, I guess you'd call it. It's a real pretty color, one of my favorites in the new In Colors. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to post all the measurements for this card on my blog, so I will put a link to that under the video. Let's take this mask off now. My blog is at loriwillcox.com. Lori's L-O-R-I, and Willcox is with 2 L's, so it's W-I-L-L-C-O-X. I always like to say it makes 1 L of a difference, haha, because Willcox is normally spelled with 1 L. Okay, so now that's our background, and let's see, which step should we do first here? I think I'm going to yeah, I'm gonna start by kind of building it on the inside of the card. So now this piece is cut quite small because I wanted to get quite a few. There's only 1 sheet of this actual vellum in the package, so I wanted to make sure that I got quite a few pieces. So this is going to kind of barely fit on there. That's okay. So I think what we should do first is put the snowbank at the bottom. Oh, the bottom, yeah. So you got to look at it when you're closing it. The snowbank is going to go right under this area here. So when I open it up like that, it's going to be glued up at the top. So I just want to put a thin line of glue on the bottom of this snow piece. I'll get my glue going. Sometimes it, there we go. Okay, thin line here. And then I'm gonna put it, make sure I'm doing this right again. Yeah, that way. So just right near the edge there, and stick that down so that when you open it up, there's your snowbank. Okay, and then the vellum is going to just barely fit in there, like so. Just barely covering that, basically the hole in there. So what we're gonna do with the vellum to glue that on is just put a few dots of vellum on, of glue on some of these snowflakes so that it won't show through the vellum. So get some there, and then a little bit on the snow bank at the top there, a little bit there, and that should do it. This glue is pretty strong, you don't need a lot of it, so just got some dots here and there, and then I'm going to put my vellum down like that. That's just covering the hole, basically. And I'm going to hold that down for a minute. Vellum is it's a little slippery, and it can take a second to dry on there. Okay. And then we have our little background piece, and that is going to go underneath here. So you can see the different colors just kind of showing through the vellum. So that's going to just get glued right on top of that piece. Just lining it up here with the bottom of the vellum. you'll see a little bit of the basic white sticking up at the top there. Okay, so I'm going to, now this also, I don't want the glue showing through the vellum, so I'm going to go around and put the glue on the vellum, but only where the snowflakes are, so that it won't show through. And actually, you could even put a little bit on where some of those little silver snowflakes are, the little silver dots, because it won't show through there either. And then I'll put, I can put a little bit on where the snowbank is, because it won't show there either. Just make sure I got sort of got a few dots going all the way around the outside there. Okay, now it's going to go this way. Glue that on there. And I'm also going to put, just to cover, because there's a bit of a edge showing there, I'm just going to put a plain piece of basic white over top of that whole thing, just to cover it and secure it on there. Oh, I think my glue's getting low there. Okay, and we will just put that on just like so. We are going to put another piece down here, but we're going to stamp it first, so I won't do that just yet. Okay, so let's press this down. Make sure it's on there well. Give it a second to dry. Okay, and now let's close the card. And we have our two trees that we want to glue on the front. So I'm just going to tuck one there, and then the other one will go on here. Let's see if I can tuck it under that white piece a little bit. Okay, and then same thing with glue, just a few dots. Get this glue. And put just a few dots along the trunk. Maybe one over there, one there. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck this down on the low part of the snow hill. There we go. And then put a bit more glue on this one. And just tuck that underneath if you can. I kind of put glue close to the edge there, but you just want to tuck it slightly under the hill there. Okay, so now you have your pretty little scene, and we want to frame it. So we're going to take the basic white frame here, and that just fits nicely around that die cut opening there. So we're just going to put some glue on the back of that frame. You could, if you wanted to pop up the frame, you could using the these guys, oops, the foam adhesive strips, but it's just, I don't know, I find it kind of hard to make sure I get it centered properly. So I'm just going to glue it. The glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room if you don't get it in the exact right spot, whereas those foam adhesive strips are pretty strong. The moment you put them down, they're pretty much stuck. All right, looks good. So there's the outside of your card, all done. Pretty little snow scene. And the holographic little silver snowflakes are really cool. And the silver trees with that dark silver looks really neat too. Now, I just didn't want to cover any of my scene with a sentiment, so I decided to just stamp the sentiment inside. So I have a piece of basic white, and I use my piercing mat here, and I'm using this stamp here from Snowman Magic. It's the most magical time of the year, and I'm going to do it in Orchid Oasis ink. And I've already mounted my stamp on the acrylic block, so let's just ink that up. And then let's get it on there about like that. There we go. Stamps very nicely, this stamp. I'm going to clean this stamp off with my Simply Chamois, which looks like it's a mess, but it really isn't. It gets stained, but you know, you just rinse them out with water, and it cleans the stamps really well. So I'm just gonna get in there, get all that blue off there. Sometimes you'll find these stamps will stain, like if you use red or pink or browns, they can stain, but they still work just perfectly fine. Okay, and then we're going to stick this in the middle. Now, if you like my my video, I'd really appreciate if you could give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to just use my Stampin' Seal here. I use glue and Stampin' Seal. I like them both. Sometimes the seal is better under white. I make sure, okay, that way, that was that way. Make sure it's the right side up. And then I'm gonna put that on there. And there you go. So there's my Snowman Magic Scenic card. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you'll subscribe. And as I mentioned, I will put the link to my blog that has all the measurements. My blog is at loriwillcox.com. And thank you very much for joining me today. Bye.